Does having aphantasia affect your ability to fall asleep?
In the past it has, because I did try to do the whole counting sheet. I've had issues in the past with insomnia and sleep, and none of those visualization techniques worked for me, obviously. So it was kind of frustrating, and also it was before I knew how to quiet my thoughts. I would get caught up in those thoughts. I had both I can't visualize to help myself fall asleep, and I can't quiet my mind.
If you enjoy this podcast, show us some love and take a couple minutes to leave a 5-star review. It helps us get found by more listeners, and we greatly appreciate it. Aphantasia is a condition characterized by an inability to visualize mental images in one's mind. If you have just discovered that you or someone you love has aphantasia, or if you're just fascinated by the subject in general and love learning more about it, you are in the right place. The Discovering Your Mind podcast delves into all aspects of the mind's eye, including aphantasia, hyperphantasia, and everything in between. Welcome to the Discovering Your Mind podcast, brought to you by shanesbraindomain.com. I am your host, Shane Williams, also known as Shane's Brain. And today we're talking with the one and only Andrea. Welcome to the show, Andrea. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Shane. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome. I'm excited about it. It's going to be a good one. So why don't you start out just telling us a little bit about what you do for a living?
Well, my day job, so to speak, I'm a bookkeeper. Actually, I have 4 different jobs across 3 different companies, all part-time, of course. But really, I like to write. I write on Substack, and I have a book coming out on February 7th about meditation for Aphants and ADHD, that sort of thing. So my real passion is writing.
Okay. And you write children's books as well, right?
My very first book was a book close to my heart. It was about my little dog Mouse and her best friend, my bird Helen. It was about their unique friendship and overcoming fear. But yes. And I have a second children's book that's being illustrated right now.
Very cool. Well, we have that in common. I have written 3 children's books and 1 book about aphantasia. So, all right. What else do you like to do for fun or other interests and hobbies?
Well, my husband and I own an antique business, so we love to go antiquing. We love to travel. We generally travel somewhere for our anniversary every year, whether that's local or international. And I'm kind of a bit of a daredevil, so sometimes you'll find me jumping out of planes. Awesome. And then I'm also a nana now, so I love to go visit and play with my grandson, of course.
In this episode, we will be referring to what we call the Apple Graph. If you would like to view the Apple Graph to play along and better understand what we're talking about, you can find it on shanesbraindomain.com in the Aphantasia and Beyond section. If you are unable to view the Apple Graph for whatever reason, it is a graph divided into 6 sections. In the number 6 section, there is a very detailed image of a red apple. In the number 5 section, it is the same image but with less detail. Number 4 is still in color but has less detail and more basic shapes instead of detailed hues and gradients. Number 3 is the less detailed apple but in gray tones without the color. Number 2 is a simple outline of the apple. And number 1 is blank, indicating no visualization whatsoever. This is called aphantasia. All right, let's dive in on this first one. Just humor me a little bit, if you will. Visualize a red apple in your mind.
Can't do it. No, it's not going to happen.
All right, so on this chart here, number 1, right? Okay.
Yes.
So if you can, I know it's difficult, but can you describe in as much detail as possible what happens in your mind when you try to visualize an apple?
I close my eyes. I see black. I think apple. I know what an apple looks like. I know what it tastes like. I know what it feels like in my hand, but I can't recreate any of those sensations. I have that knowing. Right.
Do any of the details of the apple come through, like dimension, like 2D or 3D or anything like that? Okay.
No.
All right. When and how did you discover that you have aphantasia? Just tell your story a little bit.
For years, I struggled with depression and anxiety, and my mom kept saying, try meditation, try meditation. That's like, no, it's not for me. It's not for me. Finally, I tried meditation and I not knowing what to expect or do with meditation, I've turned to guided meditations on an app I have. And I kept coming across, visualize yourself in a beautiful garden or visualize this golden orb around you. And I'm like, there's nothing. And I get so hung up on that. I was like, okay, maybe this is just something I need to learn and develop. So I actually went online, Googled that, and found that you can develop, more visualization skills. But every exercise they gave was not working. And I stumbled across the word aphantasia. I was like, oh, wait a minute. So I was like, no, this can't be right. So I asked my mother, I'm like, okay, when you meditate and get these prompts, what do you see? And she's like, well, I see the garden. Like, what do you mean you see the garden?
Right.
Completely blew my mind. So I went, probably, close to a year, everybody I came across. I was like, can you visualize? If I tell you, I drove everybody nuts. For the most part, found that most people could to some degree. Some of them were like insanely visual, and others just kind of a little bit, have maybe the outline of the apple. But yeah, so that was my experience with discovering it. And I kind of went through a bit of a depression. I was like, why don't I have this superpower?
Right. So you did struggle with it for a bit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I also thought that I wouldn't be able to learn to meditate because of it. Because I thought at the time, well, I'm going through all these guided ones that want me to visualize. I can't visualize, so I can't meditate.
Right. Okay. As far as you can remember, have you always had aphantasia?
That's a really, really good question, because I've tried to remember that. I'm like, okay, when I was a kid, I know I was very imaginative. Did I just make up word stories in my head, or did I actually have visualization? And I cannot honestly remember.
How did discovering aphantasia impact your creativity and self-understanding?
So I've always wanted to be a writer. And for a long, long time, I thought that meant storytelling. And I really struggled with storytelling because I can't build the scenes in my mind to be able to, that whole show, don't tell. I really struggled with that. So I thought, okay, well, I'm just bad at writing. I have to give up my dream. And I put it away. When I discovered aphantasia, like I said, at first I was kind of depressed, but then I finally was like, that really explains a lot. It explains why I can't show, not tell. I can't visualize. It's why I feel like I have face blindness. I usually have to meet somebody a couple times before I can recognize them again. I just can't. It's why I'm bad with directions. And it all started to make sense. And once I realized, okay, well, it's not just me not needing to learn a skill or thinking I'm broken. I just have to start learning what my brain can do. And I started writing differently. I realized, okay, maybe I'm not a storyteller, but that doesn't mean I can't write. It was an incredible moment for me to come back to words because, like I said, it's what I'd always wanted to do, and I'd given it up for so long. So once I realized I'm not broken, I just needed to find what works for me.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I love how just the simple discovery of this thing, it is a thing. Millions of people have it. It has a name. It doesn't mean you're broken. And then it helped you kind of break out of some of these conclusions that you had formed that weren't really true. And I see that all the time in, our society. A lot of times, teachers or coaches or something will make a judgment based on a result. Okay, this kid is lazy or he's not trying hard enough. And they come to these conclusions where when they understand, oh, he has aphantasia and is just functioning differently. And this is maybe why he's struggling with this certain particular thing. All of a sudden it makes sense. And those false conclusions just kind of crumble away.
Exactly.
Does having aphantasia affect your mental health at all?
It's not something I've really ever thought of. For much of my life, I struggled with depression and anxiety, and I don't know that I would really chalk that up to having aphantasia. I know that once I finally found meditation that worked for me in my mind, that depression and anxiety, I wouldn't say it went completely away. I'm human. I still get moments of sadness or moments of, fear and panic, but it's definitely changed my life. I don't know that visualization or lack of visualization really, I don't know that I could say that, except that I did get depressed for a while, like I said, when I didn't have the superpower that everybody else has.
Sure. Okay. Good enough. Thank you. In general, how do people react when you tell them about aphantasia?
I've had a lot of different responses. Some people are like, what do you mean you don't visualize? Everybody can visualize. Just close your eyes and see the apple. I'm like, no. Other people are like, well, what do you mean by that? Let me see if I can do it, and then they, struggle, or they're like, well, I can kind of see it. I can see, and I'm like, okay, well, that's, you have visualization skills, or they're usually kind of like, what are you talking about?
Okay. Do you have any family members who also have aphantasia?
Yes, my youngest son does. He struggled in school also. And he's also struggled with things like directions or, facial memory and that sort of thing. And we didn't know about visualization or lack of at the time he was going to school. So like me, kind of had some struggles in that area.
Okay. What about your parents?
Nope, they can both visualize.
Okay. Do you experience any of the other senses in your mind?
No.
All right. So you're a global aphantasic. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your new meditation book, Loving is Easy with Eyes Closed.
It's Living is Easy with Eyes Closed.
What'd I say?
Loving, which, is appropriate also, but the actual title is a John Lennon lyric.
Right. I knew that. I just wrote it down wrong.
I did not set out to write the book. I didn't think I was going to, but I'm in a couple of our Facebook groups that are for Aphantasia, and they kept saying I can't meditate because I can't visualize. And I kept going on there saying, yes, you can, because I found the other way. So my mother, I was telling her this, and she's like, well, why don't you write a book about it? And I laughed at her. I'm like, yeah, no, that's fine. But then I sat with it and I was like, you know what? I have people around me that I love that are ADHD. I was like, well, why can't I write a book with the alternate techniques that I've learned that work for me, that have worked for my husband who has ADHD, or, and I liked the idea. So I thought, well, I want to bring that into the world. So my book has personal stories, but it also has techniques, different techniques, sound, movement, fire, water, and the research and science behind why it works and why it helps. I just wanted to show people that felt that meditation wasn't for them, whether they're a complete beginner or they can't silence their mind or visualization doesn't come, that yes, there are other ways into presence and peace.
How does aphantasia change the way someone experiences meditation?
Meditation does not require images. For somebody that can't visualize myself, I turn more to sound or body sensations or the breath. Breath is always with us, and it's the easiest one. I mean, everybody has their breath. So just following the breath, you don't need visualization. You don't need images to meditate. Now, when I do come across a guided meditation that I like that does ask me to visualize, I know now that I don't have to get caught up on trying to see something. I can just trust that the golden light's there,
Right. Right. Yeah, I'm kind of coming to the same place too. I used to avoid them, but I found some really good ones lately that do use visualization. And I found myself being able to be okay with that and still sit with that. So when you say you can instead of images, you can rely on sound, what do you mean by sound if you don't have any internal sound either?
Well, I listen to music or mantra or chanting, and I allow the vibrations to sort of enter in my body, and I use the different tone, the different notes as an anchor. So when I find that my thoughts are straying, I can come back to either the breath or what's the next sound I hear and follow it to the end and use that as my external anchor, I guess, if you will.
Perfect. All right. I just wanted to clarify that. What are some common misconceptions about meditation that make people feel excluded?
One of the biggest is that you have to clear your mind of all thoughts. That's one of the ones I thought. I thought I had to sit there and clear my mind of all thoughts, and that wasn't happening, and it's never going to happen. No, it's more of about noticing the thoughts and noticing when you're stuck on it and letting it go without judgment, coming back to your breath. And when the next thought comes up, doing the same. Another misconception is that you have to sit in stillness for hours. Again, no. There's movement meditations. There's no stillness at all there. You're moving. Or even, 5-10 minutes a day really can have an impact. And so it's not a matter of having to sit still in silence and with silencing your mind for hours. Something that I wasn't told when I went into meditation. Right.
How can people access presence or calm without visual imagery?
Again, the breath is a beautiful way to do so. Noticing the breath come into the nose and follow it down to the belly. And again, on the exhale, just simply that notice, that signals your brain that you're allowing your body to calm down, but it also brings you into the present moment. So, and when you're concentrating on your breath and focusing on that, you really don't have room for all that drama and trauma that's trying to come into your mind. So it brings you back into the present moment and gives you a moment of calm and peace so that you can recollect yourself and come back out.
In what ways does your book help people who can visualize with their meditation?
For example, I have a chapter on fire meditation. Watch the flame and say you want to take the yellow of that flame and bring it into your chakra, your corresponding chakra. You can visualize the yellow of that flame entering into your body and through your body. That's one way. But also visualizers may find that, yes, they can see themselves in that beautiful field, but maybe a movement meditation works better for them, or maybe mantra sound, or even just simply following the breath. I mean, just because you can visualize doesn't mean that's necessarily the best way for you to meditate or the way that you'll find calm and peace. You may find it through sound or other avenues.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say about meditation or your book before we move on?
Just that I really believe and hope that my book will show that meditation is accessible for everybody, regardless of what your brain is like. You just have to find what works for you. And consistency is key. You don't need, like I said, you don't need to sit with it every day for an hour, but even a few times a week, 5-10 minutes, with the intention to sit down and meditate, find your inner calm that can really ripple out into your life and help you find peace and mindfulness in your everyday life.
All right. Love it. Thank you. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the words that we use in our society. This is one of the things that hangs up a lot of people with aphantasia initially, because these words are so prevalent in our society. So these main phrases of visualize it, imagine it, picture it, or think of it. Do those 4 phrases, are they synonymous to you? Do they all kind of mean the same thing, or what do you think?
I think, to me, they mean the same thing. I think it's funny because I still use them myself. They become so commonplace, and I grew up using them, not really understanding the meaning behind them, that I still use them. But no, for me, I think they mean kind of the same thing. If somebody asks me to imagine, I hear, oh, well, I'm supposed to close my eyes and see this. It doesn't happen for me. So instead, I use my words. Walk myself through it with words.
Okay. Does it bother you when a restaurant menu does not have pictures of the food?
Oh, wow. I've never thought about that one. It kind of does, now that I think about it.
Right.
It kind of does.
Right. Do you think that when the pictures are there, when a menu does have pictures, does that greatly influence your decision on what you're going to choose?
I think so. I think that now that I think about it, if a menu doesn't have pictures, I'm going to fall back on what I know, and rather than branch out onto something that I might have preferred better, but I don't know what it's like. So I think pictures, when I can see it, I'm like, oh, that looks good. I'm going to try that. You branch out. Otherwise, you fall back on what's safe.
Right. Okay. If I say to you, don't think of a pink elephant, can you successfully accomplish that task?
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
I guess we have a superpower.
There you go. Yeah, because that's one of these things, people just assume, oh, you can't not think of a pink elephant.
Right.
Well,
right.
We can.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. In general, when you close your eyes, what do you see?
Black. I mean, if I've been staring at a flame for a while or something, I might see, some color in there, that residual, whatever, but
right.
I can't see the image of the flame. It's just kind of the color, the echo, the color.
Sure. Okay. We talked a little bit about you, not remembering as a child that you could visualize anything. What about at any time ever in your life, have you ever had any sort of anomaly where something outside the norm happened, where you had some sort of visual, whether it is with psychedelics or some other, or meditation, or, just anything kind of that stuck out that was
I
different
have
than normal.
one time through meditation, and it blew my mind. I was very surprised. I was in a very, very meditative state, very calm. It was kind of early on, and I saw a gray spinning spiral. It shocked me so much. I was just kind of like, why am I seeing this? I've never seen it since. Never. I don't know why, but there it was. It's the one and only time I've seen something with my eyes closed.
That's very cool. So you said that you don't have any internal sound, but again, I want to talk about the words that we have in our society. Do you feel like you have an inner monologue at all?
Yes, I do that. I do have that.
Okay, what's it like?
It's kind of just me, my voice talking to myself in my head, sometimes arguing with myself in my head.
Okay, but it's not audible? You can't actually hear it?
No, I think it's more I'm thinking in words.
Okay.
I don't really know how to describe it other than that.
Okay. Again, we have multiple words for this in our society. We have inner monologue, inner voice, inner dialogue, or sometimes people call it self-talk. What do you think about those? Are those synonymous to you, or do those kind of mean different things at all?
To me, they mostly mean the same thing, but I do understand that some people actually hear the sounds or the thoughts, the words, and for me, it's like I said, it's more, I think in words. I actually find the word and I talk to myself the way I would talk to you, but I'm doing it in my head, and it's more conscious. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't get those random thoughts that, the monkey brain, but I do get that. But it's a really hard one to describe. It's really hard to describe that one.
Share the gift of laughter with your children and grandchildren with books full of funny poetry and silly stories by Shane D. Williams, available on shanesbraindomain.com.
All right, I have another hard one.
Uh-oh.
If you can, define a thought. What is a thought to you?
Define a thought. It is something that usually my ego is trying to scare myself with. No,
Okay.
I say that because I've been coming up with that a lot lately. Around my book, I've got a fear. My book is coming out soon, and I've got the fear like, oh no, it's coming out. And so I have that. Okay, Andrea, what did you say here? Are you sure you want to keep that in the book? And I start thinking like that. So this is a hard question. How do you describe a thought?
Yeah, like how does it manifest? Can you put your finger on that at all?
Well, so I'm thinking about your question right now, and I'm having a conversation with myself about it. I'm like, how do I answer this question? Where is this thought coming from? And the thought comes from, well, it came from you to me. So now I'm putting it in my head, thinking about it.
Okay. That's good enough. I love it. All right. Would you say that your thoughts feel up close and personal, or maybe a little more distant and disconnected, or something else? How do they feel?
Both. Okay. So I'm a spiritualist. I rely on intuition. When I'm having a conversation with myself or talking to myself about how I'm fearful or excited or whatever, it's kind of like right here. I'm like talking to myself and having that conversation. When my intuition comes through, I feel like it kind of comes from the outside or the back. It's quieter. Not quieter as in volume, because I can't hear that, but it's just more subtle. Subtle's the word.
Right. Okay. I love that description. That's very cool. Do your thoughts happen one at a time or many at once?
They can happen many at once, but generally I will zoom in on one and see it through.
Do you feel like you have control over your thoughts?
I didn't, but meditation has taught me how to. When I find myself looping in a negative thought, for example, I can say, okay, now stop. We're going to let that one go. And I let it go.
So it's a matter of learning how to take control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, before meditation, I didn't. And I got stuck in those negative loops all the time. Hence the depression and anxiety.
Right. What does the phrase, I need to gather my thoughts, mean to you?
To me, it's a matter of I need to sit with my thoughts for a moment, decide which thoughts are helping me, which thoughts are hurting me, or in a situation where I need to make a decision, I think about my thoughts and weigh out the pros and cons of that decision before I can come to a conclusion or state my opinion.
Can you not think of anything if you want to?
That is a hard one. Yes, for a couple moments maybe, but generally something, that bill that I haven't paid yet or the deadline that's coming up will pop into my head and I start thinking about that. So not for very long, no.
Okay. So you said that your spiritual thoughts or your intuition is kind of more subtle. If you can get into kind of that state, does that help?
Yes, it can. And again, like I said, I have learned how to notice when a thought is either looping or not really needed and just trying to distract me from something, and I can kind of let that go.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about reading. Do you like reading novels?
I do. I am a very avid reader. I have been my entire life. However, I have noticed throughout my life that when it gets to a very descriptive scene, I tend to skip that section or,
Right.
skim through it. And I remember when I was younger, my father read The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings to me. So I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. And when the movies came out, he asked me, he's like, well, is Bilbo what you expected? I'm like, well, and that's when that was after we discovered he could visualize and I could not. And he's like, oh, you looked exactly how I imagined and thought of him. I'm like, well, never. His actions, his personality, yes, that came through and I see that, but I never had an image of Bilbo. So.
Right. Okay. What about audiobooks? Do you like audiobooks at all?
No, I don't. I mean, I listen to them if I'm on the plane or if I'm on a treadmill or something, and it's not so much that I can't focus on them. It's more for me. It's just because as a avid reader, since I was very, very young, it's just the actual feel and weight of the book. And I just prefer print.
Okay. Very good. Let's move on to sleep and dreams. Does having aphantasia affect your ability to fall asleep?
In the past it has, because I did try to do the whole counting sheet. I've had issues in the past with insomnia and sleep, and none of those visualization techniques worked for me, obviously. So it was kind of frustrating. And also it was before I knew how to quiet my thoughts. I would get caught up in those thoughts. I had both I can't visualize to help myself fall asleep and I can't quiet my mind. So yes, it has impacted that.
Okay. What about dreams? Do you dream?
I do dream.
Okay. Are those visual?
I've had to ask myself that, and I would like to say that yes, they are. And the reason I can say that they are is because I can come out of a dream and I can remember the color. I can remember seeing a person's face that I was with in the dream or that sort of thing. So yes, there is visualization for my dreams.
So if you were to look at this Apple graph again and compare it to your dreams now, where do you think you would fall?
I think for the most part, it would be 2 or 3, but every once in a while I get that 4. Those dreams are usually more intense. They're more like the nightmares kind of thing or something, or just if there's some reason that this dream really wants to stand out to me, it gets my attention.
In your dreams, since you can visualize a little bit in your dreams, what about the other senses? Do they come into play in your dreams? Can you hear sound or smell or taste or touch in your dreams? Can you tell?
No scent or touch that I can recall. Sound, yes. I have been able to hear music or hear somebody's voice speaking to me. At least I think so. I mean, it's a hard one to answer because you come out of there and like, oh, I heard so-and-so talking or whatever, but you're like, wait, did I, or is it just my, imagination and just the knowing of what was supposed to have been said?
Right. Can you tell if your dreams are in first person or third person?
I think they'd be in first person, but that's a good question. Not something that I've ever really thought of. So,
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about memory. If you want to recall a memory, how does it manifest?
usually in my body first. For example, if I want to recall an exciting memory, I get that adrenaline rush that, the excitement comes back. Or if it's a memory of my grandson, for example, the warmth of love comes back, the smile that was on my face when if it's a bad memory, that, gut punch or whatever comes through. So it's body first. And I have learned, because of the not being able to visualize, to be more present. Now, when I'm in a moment that I know that I'm going to want to remember more clearly, I pay very much attention to what's going on. The sights, the sounds, the textures, the moment. I really try and stay present so that when I recall that memory later, I can't visualize it. I can't remember the sounds, but I can remember the feelings better, the emotions, what stayed in my body.
Okay. So that's interesting. It made me think about being an eyewitness to something. If you were called up in court and you had to describe, a suspect or something like that, do you feel like you could do that pretty well?
No, like I said earlier, I feel like I've got face blindness, so like, for example, even my son, if he were, don't even like saying this, but say went missing and I had to say what, he was looks like, I could say what he looks like because I know him, but I couldn't remember what he was wearing. I don't know. And he just left for school today and I don't know what he was wearing. I can't tell you right now. I saw him, but I can't tell you what he was wearing. So no, I would not make a good witness. I would not be able to give the facial features so that somebody could draw it or no.
Okay. In your memories, can you tell if it's in first person or third person? Or does that not even a thing?
I don't think that's a thing. It's like I said, it's more felt in my body and the emotion.
Okay. So it never feels like you're reliving a memory?
No.
Okay. Do you feel like your memories are accurate?
I think so. I mean, I feel they are so. However, there's definitely those times where I'll have the same memory as, say, one of my sons, and they're like, "No, that's not how it happened." I'm like, "Yes, it did."
Yeah.
So which one of us is not remembering correctly?
Right. It's a tricky thing to talk about because, on the surface, you might think someone who's visualizing may be the one that's right because they're pulling it up in their head again. But I've talked to so many people who are like, yeah, I don't trust my memory. I know that it's making stuff up.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Well, and I also heard that every time we do recall a memory or something, we lose a little bit more of it. And I don't know if that's true. I've never really delved into that, the science behind it or anything, but I've heard that. Or we twist it a little bit, slightly alter it. So each time we think of it, it becomes just a bit different.
Right. And I feel like that would happen more to someone who's visual because, those details can change. Where with me, I feel like, how's it going to change? Because it's not really there in the first place. Right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yes.
Okay. Sometimes I feel crazy when putting these words come out of my mouth. Yeah.
No, I'm with you.
Okay. What does having flashbacks mean to you?
Well, I understand the concept for somebody that visualizes. I understand that, having a flashback, they can relive that moment. They can see it. They can be back in the moment. They can feel it. For me, for me, a flashback is more of an intense moment in time, say grief. I've lost a loved one. And for me, for that flashback, the feeling, the emotion, again, it's in my body, comes back. I can remember that doubling over with overwhelming grief and pain. I can remember that and feel that, but I can't really remember and recall or relive the words or the visuals, obviously. So it's more of again, in the body.
Right. So even though you're not experiencing any visuals, the the emotion and the feelings are all very there.
Yes.
Okay. Here's a few more questions that might be hard to answer, but do your best.
Okay.
How would you describe how your mind stores information?
I don't know how to answer that.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Me neither.
I don't know how to answer that.
All right.
Manage just to do it somehow.
Right. It's very mysterious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you associate your mind with an area or a space?
Your knee-jerk answer to that is, well, yeah, it's in the brain. But for me, I feel it's more, like I said, more somatic. It's more in the whole body.
Okay. Does it ever feel like there's different rooms or compartments in your mind?
Yeah, I have felt that. I have felt that there's areas, I've had trauma in my life, and there's areas that I've kind of blocked out and shut out that I don't want to go into those rooms. I don't know how it works. I can't explain it, but I do feel that there are different areas of the mind. I think that we access different, and for dreams, we access dreams differently than we would access visualization. So I do feel that. I can't answer how it works or why.
Right. Okay. Another phrase we have in our society is search your mind. What does that one mean to you? Do you feel like you can search your mind?
I do. I think I can search my mind. I mean, if you were to say, well, search your mind for that time in childhood where you felt like you weren't heard. I'll go back in time and think about my memories and recall a memory where that would be applicable. So that one, yes, I feel I can do that. I have access to that.
As a child, did you have an imaginary friend?
Not so much an imaginary friend, but I had a favorite stuffed bunny that was my friend. So it was a visual friend.
Right. It had to be in real life. Right. Okay. Did having aphantasia affect how you performed in school?
I think it did. Now that I look back on it, because I remember times in class, the teacher would instruct us to close our eyes and visualize the outcome or visualize this or that. And I got stuck on that, and I got stuck on, her words and trying to create what she was saying. And because I couldn't, I felt kind of left behind, or I struggled to keep up with the assignment, for example. And so, yeah, I think it did affect it.
One of the things I found myself really struggling with in retrospect was taking tests.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had to memorize something for a test, what was your strategy or your process?
Over and over again, reading the material over and over again, saying it back to myself over and over again, going in, taking the test, and after the test, it immediately fell out of my head. It was gone.
Right. So much of it is just testing memory more than knowledge, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What about just currently thinking about your careers, your jobs, your professions, your writing, your other hobbies that I asked you about in the beginning? Do you feel like having aphantasia affects any of those things positively or negatively?
One of the jobs I have, I work for a book publishing company, and I do a lot of the marketing. And for example, we'll create little ads for meta ads or whatever. And I actually create them. I have to be visual and creative, and I can't go into it knowing what I want it to look like. I have to sort of build it as I'm going and be like trying several things. That doesn't work. Until finally it's like, oh, okay, that looks good.
Right.
Until it's right there and I can see the final, I keep building on it until. Whereas I think that somebody that can visualize, my husband, for example, he's highly visual and highly creative that way. He can see it exactly what he wants it to be and then create it and be done.
Right. I'm relating 100% with you on this one because I am a graphic designer.
Really?
Yeah, and have been for 25 years. And I'm good at it and it works. But again, it's just like you're describing. I got to do it on the screen. I got to put it in front of me, try things. None of it goes on in my mind other than, I may have a vague thought of, oh, what about this or what about that? But until I do it in real life, I can't tell if it's a good idea or not until I try it.
Yeah. My husband, He remodeled one of our back rooms, and he would ask me questions. What do you think this will? I'm like, I don't know. Until I see it, I have no idea if I'm gonna like it.
Right. What does the phrase "Where do you see yourself in 5 years" mean to you?
Well, I mean, that's actually an easier one because it just for me, it's well, I can say in 5 years, I do not plan on living in Aberdeen still. I plan on having my second book out and released too. So it's things like that. I mean, I don't obviously can't visualize where I'm going to be living or the cover of my second book or anything like that, but I know what I want and what I'm working towards.
Okay. Can you identify any upsides and downsides to having aphantasia?
Upsides. Well, like I said, I have experienced trauma and I don't have those visual flashbacks of it like some people do. So I think that's an upside. An upside for me with meditation is I don't have to get caught up in the images. Yes, there's guided visual meditations, but also if you're just wanting to try and follow the breath, some people that I've talked to that meditate that are highly visual say that they get caught up in the film in their mind that they're playing, and I don't have to worry about that. That's one thing that I don't have to silence. So that's an upside for me. Downside, a huge downside for me is not being able to see my loved ones' faces, especially the ones that have passed. That's the biggest blow for me.
All right, last question. If you could wave a magic wand and get rid of your aphantasia, would you do it?
When I first discovered it, I would have said yes, because I wanted that superpower. I thought it was so cool. I was like, oh, that'd be so exciting. And there are still parts of me that, yes, I would love to be able to visualize my loved ones that are deceased now, their faces, or I don't get to, I kind of live far away from my grandson. I would love to be able to just call his face to my mind. But you know what? I think that I wouldn't now. Because of aphantasia, I have written a book. I went back to writing because I understood now that I'm not broken. It's just my mind works differently and I found a different way in. I have been able to help others with the same and find meditation or find different creative outlets or everything. So it's just me. And no, I wouldn't give it up.
All right. Love it. I feel the same way. All right. That is pretty much it. Andrea, is there anything else you would like to talk about before we sign off?
I think we've covered it. If it's okay, I would just like to share the title of my book again. Just I hope that it'll help. And it's written for people with aphantasia and ADHD. So my book is going to be out February 7th, and it's Living is Easy with Eyes Closed by Andrea Thorfinson.
Okay. And where can people find that?
Right now it's on pre-order through my publisher's website, Genius Publishing. But February 7th, it will be on Amazon as well. Probably Ingram Spark and that sort of thing as well.
Okay. And I will go ahead and put that information in the show notes as well. All right. Well, thank you so much, Andrea. It's been a good conversation. I appreciate your insights and your answers and your time. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Shane. It was really nice.
If you like what you hear, please subscribe, follow, and engage with us, and share it with your friends and family as we continue to explore this fascinating subject. For additional information about this episode or Shane's Brain, check out the show notes. Thanks for listening to the Discovering Your Mind podcast. You are beautifully unique.